Okay, so I've been working on this app for a while now, and the basic idea is that you've got this interface here that allows you to generate the SQL really easily for you could call some complex queries, but do it with ease. So, for example, what the system first starts off with is it builds out the schema for the database. So it maps out all the tables and views and so forth and the relationships. So if you're up here and you want to, for example, in this case, we have product attributes, which is information I've taken from eBay about product attributes. And also we want the products, but we want them separate, and we also want to be able to filter by the product attributes. So there's basically two queries to the attributes and one to the products. So you'll see why up here, part of the reason for that is we want the attributes so that we can generate the menu here from a complete set of attributes for any product. And this is basically our advanced search feature here for the products. But then we also want when somebody provides input to something like this, let's say, for example, feedback, and they set it at a certain amount, you're going to want to filter the products by that. So you're basically joining the attributes to the products table and also doing a separate query just to get all the different types of attributes here. Now, what I've built and why I think this is so kick-ass is that, one, there's autocomplete. So in this case, based on the user's permission or group permission that the user is a part of, for example, admin, web guest, user, vendor, or whatever it might be, that person has limited access to the relations or tables and views or functions that are within that database. So in this case, I'm logged in as admin right now, and this is a list of everything that I can access. So what we have, I'm going to basically put back what I just had there a moment ago. So let's start off with external product attributes, which is used for our menu. And if I do this right now, you'll see it automatically updates these two sections here. Now this is what I call queue data or query data. And this is basically what I've done to act as the bridge between this interface, which is meant to be able to program data queries as quickly as possible, between your programming interface and then your generated query. So this middle ground here helps generate this query down here. So let's say, for example, I've set the relation external product attributes. Now I want to say, let's specify some fields. So all we got to do here is set up an array. And you can see right there, there's the list of all the different fields. So let's say we want to limit it to alt name, or let's start with ID, alt name, and source. Kind of a weird choice, but just to demonstrate how this works. So the moment I do that, you'll see it automatically now takes down the field names, plugs that into this section here. And then the query that's generated now only includes those fields. So in this case, that's not something I really care about at the moment of limiting the fields, but that's just to show that there's that feature. And as you can see, it's also running the updates on this in real time. So the moment I remove that, you can see it automatically put everything else back. And what I want to do is now I want to add another query in here. So M is for multiple, or as in multi-query. So now in this case, now I'm going to specify external products. So this is a table that I have for capturing all the products from external sources, because the whole idea is to build up, in this case, a affiliate website that allows for super fast searches of places like Amazon, AliExpress, and eBay. So there's external products, and what this does is, for example, if I wanted to run a join on external product attributes, I'd have to run it up here. I could take that right now just to demonstrate it, and join it to external products. So you see here's autocomplete again. Bam, just put that in place. And you'll see how it extended it out here for external product attributes. Now it's joining it to external products. And because the relationships inside the database are mapped, it's just foreign, it basically takes the foreign keys and maps them out. You can see this right here. This is a spot. So it automatically takes the key from, and this is a many-to-many relationship because there's a joining table here. See how it says external product attributes? Link that to external product attributes here and external products. So this is the joining table. It shows it here. It shows if it's left or right, which side is what on. If you understand how that works with joins, and again, this is meant to be the most concise form and easy to program with form to pass between the client and the server. So this is the information that actually gets passed to the server. The server doesn't actually, this interface was programmed just to show you what the SQL is going to look like. But what happens is this data is generated by this, and only this section here is passed to the server. So the server receives that, which allows it to parse for illegitimate fields or bad data before it actually passes it over to the database. So there's a certain amount of checking and SQL query injection detection that's used before this actually gets translated to the SQL on the server. Most of that checking is done by the library that generates this data here as well. So it's also gets sanitized on a client level. Okay. So now in this case, so I just did that to demonstrate that this join can be used pretty much anywhere. So now that we've got external product attributes, now we're on to our second table, and we'll run our join here. So we're going to say external product attributes. Close that. You can see automatically creates. So this section here, this is our first query. And here's our second one here. And you can see it has the join information put in there. And then this is the page that's being generated. So I'm putting back what I had there before, because if I generate it now, it's not going to work because it's incomplete. Oh, it is actually complete at this point. And it's automatically saving. So it uses the browser web store to store this as you're typing. So there's no need to even press save unless you're updating a template. In that case, you have to press Control S so it saves it to the database. But as far as this goes and coordinating it with this, so for example, right now I'm previewing the products page, but let's say I want to preview something else like a mail quote. You'll see there's nothing there because I just updated to mail quote. But if I switch it back to products, this should be automatically updating. It might be that because there's some error in the, there we go, there, yeah, there's an error. And let's see, I'm gonna put it back how it was. External categories here, and that should fix that. Yeah, there's no error being generated. If there was an error being generated from this, it'd show up right here in this area here. Refresh this. Must have changed something. All right, so since there's a large number of external product attributes, what I'm going to do here is add in a limit, and all I got to do is jump down here, and limit is done with an array in this case, and I'm going to plug it in at 2500. So see here, automatically adds that in for the dQuery area, and if we come down here to the external product attributes, we see the limit has been put in place. And we'll refresh this, and then bam. Now we've got the products have come up, and we also have the attributes for the product items are up here in our advanced search menu system. Okay, and just to give you an idea of what this looks like, I'll pull up the PG admin interface, and we can take this here, and there's the SQL. You can see here in the results set that basically we are taking this data here and using this to generate this menu. And here's how simple it is. So this is this is a Dot.JS template, dot or period JS, Dot.JS, made by Olato. And so real kind of standard templating system. So now that we've got this data that's being pulled from the database here, and then we have this, I made this little function called doMenuItem, which you just pass in the name and the type, and then it looks it up in the data that's gotten from the SQL, from the external product attributes, which is this, right? And we can, let's order this by ID. Because I believe the earlier, okay, yeah, see here are the earlier fields, and you can see how it says field type here. Now this is hand entered. I hand entered a lot of this, like for example, Boolean and text. So what that does is that goes and affects the field type here as it's displayed. So for example, if your type is stars, this is what gives you this star feedback here. If it's a slider, you get this slider effect like on that feedback percentage like this. And so that's how this templating system is, this data then affects the templating system here. So the idea in this is that your graphics guy or your web guy doesn't need to know all the ins and outs of your database. You just got to give him the relation names or table and view names, and he can then really rapidly plug that in and focus on just doing the graphics elements. So the idea is that this is basically your shortest path to obtaining the data that you need. There is a secondary component to this as far as translating these search values and mapping it to this here, which I'll explain a bit later. This part still needs some programming and refinement so that it's very easy to map these values. What I'm probably going to do is add in a string replacement feature that basically plugs in here and then allows you to pass this data from the browser into a special section here, like a special mapping feature to make it really easy. And the concept is that, you know, instead of always having to have a back-end engineer or as a full stack developer, you've got an easy way to take your data, use it quickly, and then basically build out your app as rapidly as possible. All right, thanks for checking out this video.